First, I would like to invite Magesh Srinivasan, VP of Fleet Management Solutions, ZF Vapco India Private Limited, ZF Vapco India, to join me. Magesh is, I've had an opportunity to talk to each of them, and it's really amazing how they're working on something really practical for India. Magesh leads a team that's on a mission to create mobilizing vehicle intelligence through solutions that are designed, developed, and deployed in ZF Vapco's team in India. It's supported by the global product and platform engineering teams based in Europe, but the key is that these innovative solutions are being developed in India because they're relevant for India. Their goal is to contribute actualizing Vision Zero to India through ZF Vapco's world-class connected service being integrated by commercial fleet OEMs. And so he will share with us what are some of the specific things they're doing, and we'll learn a lot from him. Welcome, Magesh. Our
Thank
next
you, Lakshmi.
speaker, thank you, Magesh. Our next speaker is Varun Kumar Raval. He's the manager of product strategy and planning at the VE Commercial Vehicles Limited. Varun is a manager of product strategy. He's responsible actually for product innovation and connected solutions, and is working for a joint initiative between Volvo and Eicher Motors. He has over 9 years of experience in this field and specializes in product strategy, planning, life cycle management, roadmap creation, market analysis. The fun part about these new areas is that you get to be everything, and so he's done it all in this area. He's got an MBA from Pune University and a degree in electronics and communications, and most importantly, a great experience in topic at hand today. Welcome, Varun.
Thank you, Lakshmi.
Thanks. And finally, we have someone who you already met, Amit Bhatt. He's the executive director of WRI India. He's based in Delhi and provides vision and leadership for the organization. Amit has over 20 years of experience in the field of road safety, integrated support, street design, and urban development. And what I'm really looking forward for Amit is to contribute about the larger thinking, about this, a global perspective, and how we can make it relevant in India. Each of you bring a very unique perspective of a multinational, of unique collaborations, of a global perspective in a way that it is very, very specific to India. So I want to start with Magesh, and to see that, Magesh, maybe you can tell us a little bit about what do you think is needed from the government on a policy level that creates data sets required for AI to connect the dots, or from the government or from the ecosystem. What do you think is needed?
Sure. So, from my perspective, I think India has leapfrogged with the Aadhaar, program, which we have successfully deployed across 1.3 billion people and growing. This is, a landmark milestone event, for all people pursuing artificial intelligence projects, because this is perhaps one of the largest data sets in the world. And so that could be the baseline for India. And using that identity as the baseline, we have to look at the various other systems that's being created and deployed. We have the National Ambulance Network, which is 108. We have the Vahan e-governance or for transportation in India. Then we have the Automotive Industry Standard 140 to make sure that the transportation segment has safety standards. Apart from that, we have various other systems related to now the healthcare facility. So, idea is to bring in various systems which exist, bring it on a common platform, and create what I call as a connected intelligence, which I think is the key. And using connected intelligence, India will be able to push forward, or rather leap into predictive decision making, predictive alerts, and increase our goal of achieving zero accident, move towards zero accident, reduce the fatalities, and increase our productivity in terms of the various biofuels at the moment. which we are using on a minority basis, but increase CNG, biofuels, as
Hmm.
well as reduce our dependence on diesel and petrol by deploying BS6 platforms and so on and so forth. So it's a multi-system integration that's required, and I believe a connected intelligence platform time has come, and we must think in those lines as a country to move forward and safeguard everything that moves inside Indian borders.
So, Varun, continuing on that thought, how do you think the startups in India are using AI to develop connected solutions for mobility and scaling it, etc.?
Data is the new oil. So, as we are aware about it, there has been let's say I'll just give an example. Whenever, let's say, talking about AI and startups leveraging it, when we let's say we have to travel from one place to another, we simply use Google Maps. So, and the result that Google Maps throws is like, if you are driving, you are going by car, you have to take this road. If you are a pedestrian, you can. Surprisingly, you do not see any Google Map for commercial vehicles.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, there are various startups who are working with development of this Google Maps for commercial vehicles. There are various startups actually who are working on ground with customers on solving their real life problems specific to fuel theft, fuel pilferages, kind of an container theft, and electronizing it via AI, and developing matured use cases. Plus, there are startups who are also working on tire management as a service, and they are using, actually, they are putting AI on tires also. They are telling you when to rotate it, when to kind of change the tire, and how actually they are bringing out the new tire mileage kind of from the AI point of view. So I think from commercial vehicle point of view and startup point of view, I think they are doing a good job, and AI is everywhere for me as of now.
Yeah. And Amit, we've heard you talk earlier about some of the work that you're doing. What do you think are some steps we can take to integrate big data into sustainable mobility policy? Because we are talking about the work that's happening from startups, from companies, and the research that you guys are doing. How do we make it all into one sustainable mobility policy?
No, I think that's a very nice question, Lakshmi. So I had a small slide. If you want, I can share it now with the audience.
Sure.
Uh,
Sure.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm trying to depict is how we can use data to kind of make our cities and mobility right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if I can have my slides up, please.
Basically,
what I was trying to portray is that if you go to the next slide, you will realize that the world is more urban than
Right.
and going forward we will be more and more urban. And there's no debate whether we are urban or whether we what question is always that's the only the finer point of the discussion. If you go to the next slide, you will see that why is this happening? Primarily it is happening because cities are engines. It's the economic productivity which is driving the conversation forward. And that's the reason why it is happening. And if you look at this slide, you will realize that like US, Brazil, Europe is at about 80% urban level, while India, we are still about a third urbanized as per the last census. Now, what is this doing to us? So if you look at the next slide, you will realize that there are a lot of issues which are getting manifested because of this rapid urbanization. And the next slide, please. You will see that there are 3-4 important challenges that we are seeing. One is this whole issue of road safety. And in the previous session, Mr. Gadkari also pointed out that as per the official statistics, we are number one in terms of road traffic deaths. The second part is the whole air quality. And this is the current crisis in Delhi where I'm sitting. I mean, we are again restarting the air pollution conversation. And then there's a whole issue of physical activity or lack of physical activity, as I can say. So what do we do? So if you see the next slide, what you will realize is that we have a choice. We can follow two models of development. We can either go the Atlanta way, which is very car-centric, sprawl development, or we can go the Barcelona way, which is very compact, connected, and coordinated city. Now, mind you, both these cities have same economic productivity, so it's not unfair comparison, right? So, but if you look at the area requirement and those cities, there's a massive difference in terms of area required to house the same population. So is the case with emission as well as fatality. Now, on the next slide, what you see is this was the slide for the first time we captured how India moves to work. Now, when we talk about congestion, we always talk about cities and the traffic in cities. But if you look at how Indians move, almost 30% don't travel to work because they live in a close proximity. Walking and cycling almost 33%, 36%, while car-based trips is only 3%. Now, our reflection is only to provide for these minority users. We miss the big pie, which is the shared mobility, walking, cycling, and public transport user. So how do we do it is the question. Now, if you look at the next slide, this is some visualization that we did for Ahmedabad 10 years back. Housing the same amount of population, if we follow the sustainable model, we are using almost 6-7 times less area than the automobile scenario. Our emissions are less by almost 7 to 8 times. Our road traffic deaths are almost less by half, almost by fourth. Now, this is only for a city which is going to expand. But what happens if you create a new city? The next slide, you will see a visualization that we did for a sector in Naya Raipur. So Naya Raipur is a new capital city which is in plan. Now, on the left side was the original design, and the right side is some of the design that we tweaked. But look at the amount of people which will be living close to transit, significantly high. Look at the amount of population that the sector can itself accommodate, from 11,000 to 15,000. Now, this is showing some direction, and that's where I come to my last slide. I think what do we do? I think we have a big opportunity because 60% of our urban infrastructure is yet to be built. So what do we do? I think we can do 3 things, and that's where I learned my talk. One is to avoid. Do the urban planning right so that you're not dependent on long distance motorized trip on personal mode. That's linking land use to transport. Second is the shift. Shift towards efficient modes, cleaner modes, and modes which can carry large amount of population. So walking, cycling, and shared mobility becomes the strategy. And third is improve. And this is what Chetan was saying in the talk before this panel, was how we can shift to cleaner fuels. So I think if you can follow this thing, we can get sustainable urbanization, better quality of air, great public health, important climate changes, issues addressed. But more importantly, we are looking at a much more inclusive development because this is what the country needs. So I'll end my talk over here.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think one of the things you said that really was insightful is only 3% drive to work, and it's not just about the new cities, but even the current cities that are expanding. If we can keep a lot of these things in mind, it would be great. For this, understanding the consumer is a really big thing. So Magesh, can you maybe shed some light on the changing consumer trends in India, and what impact could it have on maybe designing the features of a car?
Sure, Lakshmi. So if I could please go to the connected intelligence slide on my slide deck.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah. Can you just go to the next slide, please? Go directly to the connected intelligence slide, which I think is slide number 4. Next. Next. One more. Next.
Yeah, this is the one. Connected intelligence. No, sorry.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
No, sorry. The one before this, the connected intelligence slide.
The one.
We are already. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Lakshmi, on consumer trends and how things are changing. So if you open the newspaper today, most of the automobile ads in the passenger sector, as well as in the commercial vehicle sector, you will find that connected vehicle feature and benefits is the only value proposition that's being put out to the consumer as well as to the business owner, right?
Mm.
And what does this mean? It essentially means that we today want to create a digital twin of our smartphones, because all our lives today, the virtual life that we live, the gateway of that virtual life is our smartphone. And therefore connectivity and connected has become a organ system within our psyche, within our being. And this has a deep impact. This consumer behavior fact has a deep impact in the way the use cases are being designed, in the way test cases are being designed by companies such as ourselves, who are in the business of creating automotive subsystems and supplying those automotive subsystems and platforms to OEMs like my co-panelists we have over here. So in the connected vehicle intelligence, or in the connected intelligence framework that I've drawn out here, you can see that we have essential elements. One is, you as a consumer today, you have a Aadhaar identity number, therefore you exist as a virtual entity in the government database. You have a vehicle, therefore your vehicle has a registered number. Your vehicle exists on a Vahan database. You also have FASTag to move across the tolled highways of India. You also have 108, therefore you have to dial the emergency ambulance if you ever need it on the national and state highways of India, so on and so forth. So as you can see, there is a myriad different use cases that we utilize, including healthcare. And all of these feature sets, accessibility or to all of these benefits, is being integrated for both commercial as well as passenger cars. And this is the mainstay. And this is why I call this connected intelligence will become a reality. And we need to make sure that when we build our smart cities in India, the connected intelligence is embedded within the smart city, and the smart city is literally virtually speaking to everything that moves, including people. And this is what Amit spoke about when he spoke about urban planning and urban thinking about what exactly we are going to do with our urban areas. We definitely need smart cities, but we also need smart villages. So that is my take with regards how the consumer behavior is changing the way we are designing our passenger cars and trucks and buses, and how things will unfold in the foreseeable future in India.
And we also talked about, maybe, for example, a lot of women drivers may be worried about safety. So they could be, maybe can you talk a little bit about what sort of features can be integrated for safety?
Yes, certainly. So, as you can see, the COVID-19 has, kind of reversed the trend, which was towards shared and public transportation. So, before March of 2020, it was a different world.
Mhm.
The Ubers and Olas of the world was the preferred mode of commute in most cities, and everybody was taking to it. It was a successful model, and it was effective in terms of the price on the pocket per mile or per kilometer of commute in the city. But having said that, we now live in an extremely extraordinary scenario of caused by the pandemic. And because of this, people have to step out on their own. There is a need for individual mobility which is safe, which is also cost effective, and being able to move across within the urban environment of India, as well as move between the cities of India. And you can see, especially when it comes to women riders who are using two-wheelers and women drivers who are using four-wheelers, there is a need for additional effective reinforcement of their safety on Indian roads, right? And in order to do this, technology is of great help. So number one, connected apps and companion apps, which is now available with the two-wheelers that you buy and the four-wheelers that you buy, help women drivers to inform their colleagues, as well as their family, as well as their loved ones, about their journey and their trips. While this may seem like a very trivial aspect, but in certain cases, it proves to be extremely important, especially when you're driving under, let's say, difficult weather conditions, maybe heavy rains, maybe you're taking a journey where taking a route where there's not much vehicle movement, there's not much people movement, so on and so forth. Needless to say, these safety consideration also exists for male drivers. Needless
Of
to say,
course. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there is a certain focus now to make sure that people are able to go out, whether they are men or women. They are safe on the roads, and to make sure that the journey that they undertake is an optimized route, and the journey that they undertake is taking care of their safety as well.
Hmm.
So I think the technology and the benefits which connected platforms can provide is here to stay and will only grow as we go along in India.
Yeah. Varun, moving from consumer vehicles to trucking, etc. Uh, what are the ways in which you think trucking industry can become more safe and humane in India? And what are some of the things working on in this space?
Yeah. So just a second. Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes, yeah, we can hear
Yeah.
you just fine.
So we can move on to next slide. So I'll just cover on the consumer part also, because
Sure, sure.
being a product planner, we are constantly engaged in consumer research, and we are taking feedbacks with them. So this is a very interesting story of Anandpur, where my sales guy told me that there is a village where every household has someone who's into this trucking business. Either he's a owner or he's a truck driver or a cleaner. So when we interacted with them, so we got a different definition altogether of how, as an OEM, we deliver value to them and how they perceive it. So moving on to next slide. And that actually where actually the thought provoked, where actually there is a movement required from a traditional mobility or a communication to a smart mobility. And when we talk about, let's say as an OEM, we always talk about fuel efficiency, turnaround time, and load carrying capacity. But just by adding an extra layer of and with the help of relevant technology, the value that, as a customer, he perceived was very different. He said that with that extra fuel efficiency that your vehicle delivered, I was able to feed my family twice a day. With that extra turnaround time and extra trip that I can make as compared to those my colleagues, I was able to send my kids to school. With that extra load carrying capacity, that every penny that I saved with that extra load carrying capacity, I was able to own an apartment. So that's how the complete definition of traditional mobility changed into a smart mobility by using the relevant technologies and the value that a truck could deliver to an customer. Moving to next slide, I think talking about the mega trend and next slide, please. Talking about the mega trend and disruption, the core philosophy that I am saying, the four mantra that you have to take is about case, which is connected, autonomous, shared, and electric. Moving on to connected part, I think connectivity and digitalization will definitely change post COVID-19. It has already changed. Now we are anticipating that Uberization of truck or truck as a business, truck
Yeah.
service business. Now it will generate close to a revenue of 26.5 million in next 5 years globally. The bricks and clicks that we are seeing the online retails to be around 30% of the total retails by 2025. New business models will continue to emerge, and we are anticipating that around 50 million trucks will be connected globally. And as already Amit had highlighted about the urban logistics opportunities, I think it will gain momentum in times to come in India also. Moving
Hmm.
to the next slide, talking from the connected perspective, I think thanks to Magesh and Webco team, I think they have worked relentlessly and making it happen. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. On making us an India's only OEM to offer 100% range of connected vehicles right from the factory fitted solution.
Hmm.
So every truck that we are producing from plant, it is connected now. That's the basic foundation that we are working. Moving on to the next slide, talking about autonomous. The moment we say autonomous vehicle, our brain says it has to be driverless. But how about if I say there are levels of automation, right from L1 to L5, where I've made it very handy, where level 1, we are saying no feet. As Magesh was saying, that female drivers are there, male drivers are there, they're worried about comfort. So empty or features like that, where you don't have to press clutch again and again, that will suffice the need at level 1 requirement.
Hmm.
Level you don't need to have hands every time on the steering. You have features like cruise control, you have features like fuel coaching, driver assistance
Yeah.
system. And then level 3, you have kind of an cameras and sensors where
Right.
they are the eyes and ears for you, and they will help you in detection of blind spot and
Yeah.
other areas. At level 4,
Yeah.
you don't need any attention, but you need a driver inside a truck where he can give commands to driver. And at level 5, this is the place where you can actually eliminate a driver from the truck. But talking from the India perspective, level 1 to level 3 will definitely see light. And at talking about the OEMs, now all the OEMs talking about personal vehicles, two-wheelers or commercial vehicles, all of them are L1 ready now, and they are working hard on L2 and L3. But L4 and L5 will see light only in kind of in closed environment developments. Moving on
Yeah.
to next slide, talking from the truck as a service point of view. Uh, we are saying that actually at VCV, I'm actually in charge of a startup. As you rightly said, it was product innovation and connected solution. That's a startup within an OEM where we are working with close to 200 plus startups on leveraging opportunities for truck as a service. And
Mhm.
working very hard on different domains. We have been working on online freight brokerages. We have been working on telematics solution, tire management services, fleet management system, and utilizing through big data and IoT on this. Just
Mhm.
it up for this session. I think
Yeah.
move on to next slide. Um, talking about the next 3 years plan, we are saying that purely it will focus from commercial vehicle and personal vehicle industry point of view. It will be focused on connectivity and L1 automation. From 2023 to 25, it will be focused on ADAS or driver assistance, L2 automation. And 2025 and beyond, we'll see more focus on safety as all these vehicles will start talking to each other, and
Mm.
L automation will come into picture.
Yeah. And I think, one of the things that's most interesting about this is that we don't think about this, but a truck driver spends literally 80% of their life on the road,
I have
away from the.
I have a
Yeah,
data. I tell you,
right. Yeah. I was hoping you would say that. Go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
actually, I actually wanted to say that when we interacted with drivers, so he said, what kind of features actually wanted to understand from him. So he said, boss, this is the first home for me, and second home is my actual home. And literally, he spends 18 hours a day, and actually, he needed all the areas like as an individual we need from home. He needs safety. He wanted comfort. He wanted convenience. See, he wanted everything. He wanted to. He actually was treating his cabin as his home, as
Right.
for 18 hours and beyond.
Correct. Yeah. When somebody spends so much time there, I think all the facilities we are looking at for safety and all become very important. With that, Amit, I'd love for you to talk about, as WRI, as a think tank, as somebody who brings multiple perspectives together. What are some of the things I mean, you guys talked about a report also earlier. What are some of the things you would like to talk about the future of India? What are some of the things that can leapfrog India into a future a successful candidate in this? What are some of the things you think we should do today?
I think so. Some of the things are very right. So, for example, if you look at as the statistics show, how does India move? Majority of India moves on foot or on bicycle,
Yeah.
predominantly on foot. But if you look at our roads in our cities, you will hardly find space to walk. The result is that majority of the people who get killed are pedestrians. So, can we create a paradigm where we say that we can't have a urban street without a sidewalk? It's not at all acceptable. So, these are very small things, but they make a huge difference. So, the point is, how do we promote some of the sustainable modes of transport? That's point number one. Point number two, how can we create vehicles which are clean and safe? And so, looking at zero emission vehicles, looking at vehicles which have all the safety parameters in place. I mean, we have vehicles which do phenomenally well on safety scoring when we export. But the same model is sold in India, our safety rating goes down from 5-star to 2-star or 1-star. So why can't we have safe vehicles on road? So point number two. And point number three, and this is which is slightly easier said than done. can we move from an isolated way of planning into a holistic way of planning? Create a new road, the next day someone will dig up for laying cable and the road will go back to where it was. Can we plan things in together? I think this is where, which is the starting point. And this is what we also highlighted in the report that we launched, which looks at road safety, is that in urban areas, we are all in together. So it cannot be my job and it's your job and you will do at your pace and I will do at my pace. It doesn't work because the city will not sleep. If you are not competitive, you will move to other cities or maybe you will move to other countries. And therefore, I think this is where we have to start looking at how we can do things together as a group. I think that's where the big challenge is, and that's where the opportunity for us as a society. Because let's face it, we will be more urban than rural. The question is, which model do we follow? Do we follow a sustainable model or we follow an unsustainable model? The results will be vastly different.
We are sort of coming toward the end of it. I'd like each of you, maybe, from a commercial vehicle point of view, and Magesh from a consumer point of view, and Amit from a think tank point of view, talk about what are your views on the future and mobility space. What is the one thing you would love to see happen? And it's something your organization is kind of working on, but give us a big picture of where would you love to see this go?
So
Magesh, you want to start?
Ajay, yeah, Magesh, please.
Yeah, sure. So I think, Lakshmi, for India, what is really required, it's the need of the hour, and what we need to quickly create is a multimodal smart mobility solution which connects every single 6 lakh villages of India, as well as the 750 districts across 37 states and union territories for the 1.3 billion people. And what I mean by multimodal seamless, it means that if I want to move from point A to B, whether I'm moving people or goods, I should be able to take the most optimized way of transporting myself, with by using, let's say, two-wheelers, three-wheelers, four-wheelers, cars, trucks, buses, or trains or metro. This is one. And second, the same needs to apply for goods as well. And if we can achieve smart multimodal transportation platforms, which people like us are working on, there will be a huge amount of for the business world, saving in what's called as OPEX or operating costs. And an example was given by Varun previously in his talk. As well as for human beings, for citizens of India, we would have much safer roads, we would have much more pleasant commute, and a much more better return on every rupee or dollar that we have to spend commuting to work or commuting for pleasure, and which is what Amit was speaking about when he mentioned about urban planning. So smart multimodal connectivity platforms is the need of the hour for India.
Okay, Varun.
Yeah, I was just saying that a single liner from my end, I would love to see a transition from driving comfort to driver's comfort.
Yeah.
So that's
Wonderful.
the single liner from my end.
Can you expand on that a little bit, a couple of sentences, in terms of whether it is safety of the driver and various things like that? Expand
Yeah,
on that a
so
little bit,
we
please.
talked about ADAS and how typically most of the accidents happen while the driver falls asleep within commercial
Right.
vehicles, and it is not about him, it is about vehicle, and it is about cargo also. And talking about it, it's like we have to have systems where we have to make them alert about their sleep detections, maybe about their alcohol detections, and we have to make vehicle intelligent so that the
Right.
vehicle can teach driver, yes, this is right or this is wrong. And post that, I think we can get the kind of an optimum operating economics, which is beneficial for the operator and for drivers, because drivers availability has become a bigger challenge now. And this is where actually I see AI has to play a bigger role.
Great. I love it. Amit?
Yeah, Lakshmi. So I will say, looking at what we need to do, I think we need to look at what I call a triple vision zero. So the first zero is zero deaths and serious injuries on road. So we have to make our roads safe. So that's point number one. The second zero is zero emission. We have to move towards vehicle and technologies which don't emit. Uh, so that's point number two, zero emission. And point number three, which is very important, is zero exclusion. We have to design systems that work for all. So zero emission, zero deaths, and zero exclusion would be my mantra for the future.
Great. Like triple bottom line, we have a triple vision zero. I really want to thank all of you guys. I just want to summarize, Magesh, it was really great to hear from you about very multi-model, seamless smart platforms we need to create. It's not just one system. I mean, even if you think of our vehicle database to our Aadhaar database to our insurance database, if the three of them can be in sync, you would have in one, site, you can see who's this vehicle registered to and do they have insurance or not. Even that would be a great start. But I think even a vision of multimodal model seamless interface is really fantastic. And Varun, I love your one line of we need to look at driver comfort also. We have so many people, moving cargo for us, our food, our clothing, our, all the things that are needed for us, spending over 80% of their time in the trucks, literally living there. So, how can we create systems that will make that a safe space for them? Just as we talk about home being a safe space for you, that's their home. So, how can we make it a safe space? And finally, Amit, it's great to hear about the Triple Vision Zero. And I want to really underline something you said that's important in all the things we are doing is that we must assume there'll be human error. It can't be like economics where you say let's demand be constant or supply be constant. That's never the case. It's an academic thing. While designing systems, let's remember that human error is inevitable, and can we bake that into the solutions we can create? And I think to do this, as all of you said, the very mix of what we have here at think tank, software, hardware, manufacturing, somebody like Intel, all of you, all of us need to come together with the ministers. This is the sort of the day we had today to really make the dream come true. Great one-liners from each of you. Thank you so much for your time.